Hi! There's a lot more of you than there were before the last video, and I just want to say thank you. You guys are making a dream of mine come true in real time, and I cannot overstate how much I've been wanting this for so long. And because of that gratitude I'm feeling, I'm going to indulge my audience by talking about this movie What Done Got Made. I will get to season 5 when it fully comes to Disney+, so hopefully this and something else I've got coming will tide you over. I'm also going to try to be a tad more comedic than I normally am, just for the sake of the challenge. Fair warning, there will be spoilers, but if you've seen Origins, you've basically seen half the movie. With that out of the way, this is the Miraculous Movie Awakened. The movie opens with Fu giving the overview of the series' namesake, showing the box and 7 of its top layer contents, even though only 3 of them matter in this plot, even though we're shown Fu wearing the turtle bracelet later, but details. During this light show, the 2 main jewels form into our heroes because subtlety's for suckers. We cut to Paris in the morning and that's not pretty. Who greenlit this text option? I get that the logo's gold, but putting gold font on a yellow building isn't the best idea. Kinda makes it hard to read, and the way too close drop shadow doesn't help much either. As the text fades out, we meet Tom and Sabine, and damn, what did they do to him? I can't tell if I like him in the show or here better. He's more proportional here, but I don't know, something about his Mega Bloks design always worked for me. Sabine looks nice here though. They greet their daughter, and Tom gets a little too obsessive over her while his wife parents correctly by consoling her, so that's neat. Marinette leaves for school, and
What I could be if I believed.
is that her voice? Wait a second. Oh god, it's a musical. Run! No, but in all seriousness, why did they get Lowe to do Marinette's singing voice? Christina V is a wonderful singer. She's Verostica in Hell of a Boss and does covers on YouTube all the time. So I'm kinda lost on this decision. Maybe they wanted more star power? Anyway, the song is about her wanting to be more confident and open with people. She rides a bike, they do a cool abstract staircase thing with her drawings that looks like it was taken straight from Tangled the series, and she arrives at school. Cut to Gabriel Agreste with an actual jawline and him doing something work-related. Okay, bye, back to Wondershy here. We see Chloe and Sabrina being themselves, although I think Chloe sounds a little different here, though I could just be wrong. Nino bumps into Mary and knocks coffee onto her sweater, and
Adrian? I promised to show him around. If all goes according to plan, he'll escort me to the ball come December.
You are so...
see, no, it's like her first shot was done by someone else or something. She stopped from throttling Marinette by Olga threatening to record it all. After, Alya negs her and wants to follow her around for the sake of views. The epic fails kind of vlogger. Fun. After a montage of Mary summarily fucking up in class, we cut to Gabe being sad about Emily and hallucinating her in a dress, and getting his backstory war flashback on. Marinette hears people taunt her, Chloe threatens her, so she ducks into a library where she sees a guy minding his own business while bathed in sunlight. He tries to check on her, she's awkward, so leaves her be. She's being strange in a bookcase, he legit calls her weird after.
She's so weird.
And cut to later that night where Gabe is being his neglectful self and an ass to his subordinate. So a typical day at the office for him. We see a snapshot of Gabe's mullet phase, and the 2 blonde rich guys are sad about the same woman in different ways. Oh, looks like Adrian shares his father's propensity for hallucinations. How quaint. Maybe they can get therapy together. We get more exposition, Gabe succumbs to the grief, and we cut to Fu sensing the danger. Flag and Tiki say fuck this shit, I'm out of here, and go find their new users. Marinette runs into traffic, saves Fu, we get this reaction shot for some reason, and runs off because Chloe has 1 brain cell in this movie. Fu can apparently teleport in this universe, and Sabrina lets her off the hook. Adrian just gets the ring because the script says so, and we cut to our first victim of the evening, with a guy who got left at his proposal because his girlfriend left him for someone named Ennui, causing him to run into Notre Dame or whatever to get turned into something. Marinette just puts on the earrings for some reason, and Tiki explains her role in the grand scheme of things with a pretty decent song. I like that Tiki just forces her to be Ladybug. Like, she has no choice because Tiki picked her. That's something else. While the call signs can be used, it seems the Kwamis don't need their owner's permission to come in and out of the gym, and while it fucked with the lore a bit, I'm not exactly bothered by it since it helps move the plot along. Speaking of that, Tiki literally yeets her across the city because tick-tock we got a fight to get to. Meanwhile, at Notre Dame or whatever, she literally crashes into Catboy and the 2 banter. Cat gets some fun lines, explains his whole gambit, and is just the most, and I love it. This scene is really great. The facade he puts on is always really fun when the show gets it right. When suddenly, the plot sneaks up on them, and oh god, I love that raw animation. It's so goofy. He even makes an ass-eating joke.
Hey, not on the first date!
The Notre Dame or whatever scene is really just his moment to shine and is really good. The red watermelon literally gets dragged around the bells of Notre Dame or whatever, and water skis her way to stardom for being a female superhero even though we've had those since the 40s. This snobby guy gets wet, she yo-yos around the city, Cat gets stuck, she saves him, they slam the gargoyle with a train, he's fine, and then...
Not bad for a sidekick, huh?
I didn't edit that in. They really made that joke for us. Good on you, movie, you're sort of self-aware. And you know what? I like this scene. They actually bicker and have banter, and it's cute. It's the first time in a long time I thought these two had actual chemistry in the suits that wasn't just carried over from their teenage lives. Fu exposits at them, then dips as he's wont to do. Cat and Lady talk more, she gets stuck in a tree, and then we get a really nice love ballad from a guy for once, which is rare in animation, and it's sweet. I mean, he's literally on cloud 9 here. I'll admit it's a bit sudden given that all she's done is chastise him and save his life, but trauma does funny things to people in cartoons. We get some more exposition and some fart jokes with Plag that are super needed, I promise. Dating advice and good line delivery from Marinette.
Bye.
Cut to Gabe having a sad son. Never mind, it's a campy villain number. And can I just say, I hate his chrome dome here. In the show, it works because it's a matte finish, but the reflections and eyelid cover make it feel so much worse. It looks like he's trying to avoid having his thoughts read by Professor X or something. He recruits people for a bank heist the next morning, where we see that Anya got photos she couldn't possibly have taken. The mime and Zatanna's ex-girlfriend lure our heroes out by attacking the fair, while Tom stalks his daughter on her sordid date. Why is this a common thing in this family? Anyway, actual story is happening. But first we get yet another song set in this abstract abyss of the earrings about Marinette accepting the calls of the hero's journey. Really gotta give the number this though. It's certainly creative, even though she just kinda does it. I feel like we skipped the scene between her rejecting Tiki and this number. Really feels like it should have been saved for the third act. But anyway, she's ready to do stuff now. She and Kat work together against the scrap concept villain from the show and her pet balloon animals. God, this series can be fun when it actually realizes how stupid it is. The mime rides it in enchanted carousel horses, see what I mean? Ow, that fucking hurt me! Like, it sounds like they just hit him with a metal baseball bat. Fuck, that hurt. And the two leads kick ass by popping the lemon balloon guy's party and getting to the point of it all. From there, we get a montage of cameos from the series villains and scrapped concepts, this weird POV shot of Marinette running, a success montage of the things she did earlier, the continuation of Adrian getting no attention by skipping over what could have been a really well done scene of them discussing his trauma over losing his mama. But fuck it, we have commercial tie-ins to promote. Later, the two are having ice cream, and I'll be damned if they don't actually work on them having chemistry. They banter and have this play fight scene with a really obnoxious wide shot that I would like to see what is happening right now. Oh, thank you. And it's a really fun one that gives them more chemistry in the suits than out. This movie just kind of lifts the teen love thing whole cloth from the show without really showing us them bonding as themselves outside of that brief meet cute and the montage. So I'm a little lost as to why she doesn't go after Kat in this universe, but Love Square's gotta dance, I guess. I really like this look she gives him, and the simple plea he gives is sweet. It actually got to me. This is what I was trying to say in the big video. If they just write the damn thing, the romance is one of the best things in the series. It's when they waffle around it that it's boring. The scene after this is quite nice too. It's a wonder to see Marinette actually have a spine for once as herself, and given that Chloe isn't as developed as she is in season 2B and 3, it allows this back and forth to hold some weight for the movie universe. Also, how she shoots her down is glorious.
Enough, Chloe. The adults are having a conversation.
Later that night, Kitty plays a joke on her. They give me a nice shot for the thumbnail, thanks for that by the way. And apparently Cat made the opera house into a cat sanctuary where he opens up to her and sings another goddamn song. I'm not complaining though, I love musicals. This one's pretty good too. It's just that this movie has like 7 songs in 2 hours. It's like The Nightmare Before Christmas. They're all bangers, but they're spaced so close together it feels weird. At least these advance the plot though. Seriously, that is a godsend that this movie understands how an actual musical number works. Not to mention, they're so cute in this one. Like honestly, goals. More of this in the actual series, please. This thing where they literally keep lifting each other up into the clouds, and then as it hits her that she can't go through with it, they land back on the rooftops to mimic the rise and fall of their emotions is a masterful symbolic imagery. Once he's home, Gabe tries to interrogate Adrian, and hey, look at that, they listen to me.
I'll reinforce the outer defenses. Go hide in the atrium. It's not safe in here.
No one tells me what to do, not even a superhero.
You're in danger like everyone else, so stop pretending you're above us all and just do what I tell you to.
More Cat Noir Gabe moments, please. Good on you, movie. I appreciate being heard. Given that he's just had his heart broken, he snaps at his dad, storms off, and the next day sadly rejects Marinette. You couldn't quite let that shit die, could you, movie? Ah well, at least they only did it once per dynamic. That's better than 5, or 12. Chloe tries to make Marinette think the other woman is her when we all know it's Luca, and this leads her to have an into the unknown moment like Elsa before her on the balcony, which leads us to Gabe trying to go out with a bang. Adrian is still in bed though, listening to Oh For Fuck's Sake. Who listens to careless whispers when they're sad. It's a sexy getting ready song at best and a meme at worst. It'd have been funnier if he was listening to Simple Plan or something, that one's for me. Anyway, he sees the chaos and speed runs out of there. With our three main characters all converging on the scene in different states of sad with some nice posing and one-liners, the fight is on to save the day or burn down all of Paris because of feelings about a woman. Is this Hunchback? Because it feels like Hunchback. Ladybug remembers she can use her yo-yo shield. This guy should honestly get hit by a bus since he has no self-preservation. Adrian is petty, Marinette is actually being sensible for once, and we get some pretty cool shots of Adrian running / flipping himself up the iconography tower to then cover it in goop because we actually haven't seen them use their powers yet, and we've only got 14 minutes before the credits roll. I am liking the Out for Blood approach though. That's remarkably consistent for him, I'll grant that. Cat falls in the Seine, Ladybug saves him, holds him close to protect him. Hawkeye sounds really intimidating with the reverb in his voice. He gets the earrings and almost gets the ring, but Adrian resists even while half unconscious. And I'll be damned, a second time in this movie, the finale comes down to Adrian versus Gabe, and it actually feels earned. Both have time to shine in the finale, and after a pep talk from Tiki, Marinette jumps in to save her pussy, but gets knocked away. Since Adrian's mask got sliced in half, leading to this odd effect with his eyes, Gabe sees what he's been doing, comes to his senses, and gives up. And thank God. This moment feels so good to see him cry and hear his voice tremble, and all this stuff hits after literal years of seeing this man beat, abuse, and neglect his son to finally, in one timeline, see him be a decent father once the cat's out of the bag is so refreshing. And that he's doing it so that his son will have his mother again is so much more powerful than just because wah 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 my wife died. And that the child is the one to tell him to let it go is just mwah, I could kiss this movie. Anyway, the two hug. Emily is also there in spirit, but really big for some reason. Mary gets the earrings again, Fu gives vague advice that leads her to rallying the citizens, and she... Oh my god, I was joking earlier when I said she had an Elsa moment. They legit just pulled from both Frozen movies with this, didn't they? I can't tell if I respect or hate that. Anyway, she reverses the damage by way of strawberry slush mix, goes home, hugs her parents, and it cuts to what I'm going to assume is a few months later since it's now snowing for the ball they've been talking about all movie. Everyone looks great, love Alex in a suit with Kim and Ivan, Chloe calls a truce, Sabrina is dressed like Hermione at the Yule Ball for some reason. The two leads have a heart-to-heart, reveal their identities to each other, and they cut to black before they even kiss. Weak. There's a pre-credit sapphic stare down, and that was the movie. It wasn't that bad. In all seriousness, this movie was good. Not great, but not bad. I've watched it twice. Once with my boyfriend, which was good because I needed to explain things, which shows the cracks in its knowledge for non-show fans, which I'll get to in a minute, and the second time to write this script as I went. What I liked what this movie did was that it made it feel like a duo and not a girl and her sidekick. This is something that Thomas stubbornly refuses to do, and it seems Jeremy was more keen to take the fans' criticism head on because every single thing the show gets wrong, this film fixes. Adrian getting enough screen time to matter? Check. The two having good banter and actually admitting they like each other? Check. Marinette not being a creepy stalker? Check. Gabe showing remorse? Check again. Adrian learning his father is a bad guy? Check, check, checkity, check, check, check. It's so nice to see that it's not just us that see the problem. Someone on staff clearly did, because without Thomas's gross fingerprints on it, the film has none of the issues I talked about in the main show. In fact, it has its own issues to talk about, starting with the power system and generally explaining things to new people. Now, it does try. It really, really tries to get people up to speed on how things are in this world, but it stumbles in a few areas, like their one-time use abilities, how they can transform or de-transform, or even why they need a call sign at all if they can leave the gems whenever they want. It's confusing because the show is remarkably consistent, and the movie muddled that a bit too much for my liking. The abundance of songs can definitely grate on people's nerves though, I could totally see that. They're all good, but I'd personally cut Gabe's because all that does is set up the next set piece, and maybe the one of the fair since all it does is kill time as she becomes more confident in her doing the things she said she was gonna do before the song started, so The rest, though, I think work. Lou is still really distracting whenever she pops up, because her voice is like 3 octaves deeper than Christine's, so it's never not jarring. Her performance is wonderful, but still jarring by sheer contrast. I think if they wanted to sell albums, they should have had Christine sing the movie, but have alternative tracks of Lou on it, but that might just be me. One thing I noticed was the movie kind of implies she's new in town, both in the first and last songs, given how she talks about wanting Paris to feel like home, but I thought she was born here. Am I missing something, or does that feel like a leftover from an earlier draft to anyone else? Branching topics a bit, I kinda wish more characters were actually in the movie. Like, every classmate is accounted for, but it's background details mostly, and that's not a bad thing, but in the big montage in the middle, her spending time and making more friends to help boost her confidence would have been a nice touch and nod to the fans. They even got Mr. Damocles and Miss Bustier in there. Why they're judging her gymnastics skills when they're a principal and English teacher respectively, I have no idea, but at least they're here. Fu is still annoyingly vague as ever, but at least he talks to Adrian, so that's a minor miracle. As for everything else, I like it. It's not gonna win any awards besides maybe the animation itself, but it's still really fun. I really like how they added glitter to Adrian's mask. It's so cute when you notice it. I like this thing they do in You Are Ladybug, where they sneak the show's leitmotif in there for a verse of the song and have it make sense in the scene, given the bells are Marinette's footsteps. Reminds me a lot of Encanto, where in the opening number, Alma has her verse be in the style of Dos Orejitas. Kind of a blinking you'll miss it thing. The pacing of this movie is really nice too. Like, maybe not every moment is engaging, but something is always happening, a joke is always landing, a reference is being made. Something which also reminds me of the Mario movie now that I say it out loud. I'm about to borrow a talking point from Sarcastic Chorus, but the lighting in this movie is fucking phenomenal. This is what I was talking about in the big video. The lighting is so important to the emotion of the scene, and every single one in this movie is bathed in sun, moon, or candlelight, and it's all the better for it. The physical comedy is really good too. Both get to be the butt of the joke, and just the fluidness of their animation is really solid. I talked about Cat a lot in the summary, but really it's just well animated all around. And it's actually lip synced. Oh, how I've missed that. I like that for once the guy is the hopeless romantic and the girl is the one that has to grow as a character. It's not a whole lot of development, she basically just grows a spine, but she's definitely not the same person at the beginning as she is at the end, and that's just nice to see. I want to touch on the big, gaping problem with the movie though, and that's if you haven't watched the show, it kind of falls flat. Like I said earlier, they try to get things explained and set up, but it's not the best attempt. If I could tangent for a moment, I know, shocker, but Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire can really help me out here since it's a pretty widely accepted fact that if you've only watched the film, it technically makes sense, but if you read the book, everything slots into place like Dio's head after Jonathan sliced it in half. It can stand on its own, but without the knowledge of the thing it's being adapted from, it's hollow, it's an incomplete jigsaw puzzle. But when you have that context, then it makes complete sense, because your brain does the work for you and fills in those gaps. For example, they just call her Ladybug even though she didn't pick it. Like the universe itself is telling her this is the name you're going to go by. At least with Adrian, we can assume he picked it off screen or something. For those of you who haven't watched the show but want to fully enjoy this movie, on Netflix for the show, watch episodes 15 and 16 of season 1, called Origins, for more power setups and explanations, and that should get you up to speed. So in terms of it standing on its own 2 feet as a story, it's a 6, because it leaves so much on the table that it's kind of hard to follow how things work, but the character stuff is done 1000% better than the actual show. Like, I actually like Marinette in this movie. Not that I actively dislike her or anything. She's written to be as creepy as possible by someone who doesn't see it as creepy, and is that person's literal imaginary daughter. So without those blinders to her behavior on, it's a lot more fun to be able to see what her actual character flaws and strengths are. It's just a shame, or maybe a funny in-joke from Jeremy, that all that stuff got stapled to Tom in the movie as Thomas sees himself as Tom, so it's kind of like a jab at his best friend's bad writing. If you have the show's context though, it's a 10 because of how much better it is than its predecessor. I can only hope people see how good this is instead of the show and stop giving it attention, especially with the abysmal ending season 5 had. And honestly, that's all I can say. Without the looming threat of Thomas's petulant tantrums that the story isn't going exactly the way he wants, the writers were able to do more or less what people have wanted to do with this property for so long. Conclude something in it. And it makes this tweet, key,
Some say Kai, but the meaning is the same.
All the more telling that what he thinks we want is the ship to stop, when in reality we just want it to end in a good way, and what he thinks we need is to stop being whiny brats who tell him he's being an asshole, when in fact he's being an asshole, when in reality it just gives me a hernia. So good job, Tommy boy, you sure showed me! Now hopefully we can all do something more fun than give this man attention. My name is Chris, thank you, I hope you stick around for more of my dumb stupid face, and I hope you have a fractastic day.